Despite all the criticism that Cars 2 has received over the last decade plus, people are still clamoring, a lot of people, for the characters from that movie to be released as diecast and new characters on top of that. I myself am one of those people. I frankly enjoyed Cars 2. Now, is it anywhere close to the first movie? No, but it's still a positive, unique entry into the Cars franchise despite being a major divergence from what the first movie meant. And I think that's why so many people initially disliked it. And then everyone thinks Cars 3 is coming along. It's going to be the second coming of Jesus Chrysler. And it ends up not really hitting on all cylinders. And then now everyone's looking at Cars 2 in a much more favorable light. Now, in terms of what people have been specifically clamoring for, it's the lemons, the bad guys, because we've gotten World Grand Prix racers every year since the movie came out. We have gotten Finn McMissile and Holly Schiffwell over the last few years, now many years in a row. So we're good there, but what about those Gremlins, Pacers, Professor Z, all those bad guys, right? Well, we're going to get into that today on the, day 8 of the 12 days of Christmas. Here we go, 10th anniversary, day 8. Let's get it done. The suggester for today's review of the Thailand variant of Miles Axlerod with open hood is Juan Lopez ZL8FL. Now, just Juan Lopez. I don't know. A lot of numbers have been appearing after everyone's name. Of course, I'm sure you've been hearing that. I don't think really anyone intends those numbers to be there. I think you can go into your channel and edit them out. That's just like your little tag or your username, whatever. I don't know. But I don't think those numbers have any significance to Juan. Han, let me know in the comments below if you have any significance towards ZL8FL. I'm really curious. But anyways, thanks for suggesting. I hope you enjoyed this video. Now, what I want to get into right off the bat is Miles here was never supposed to be re-released. He was released once and only in 2013 as a chase, and Mattel had set the precedent that chases were never meant to be re-released ever. They could be issued in multiple cases in that year, like maybe Radiator Springs Ramon, I believe, was included in multiple cases in 2012, but they could not be released in a following mainline of any sorts or any multi-pack, nothing. Now that trend was broken last year when Rust-eze was released again after being a chase in 2013, I believe 2013 or 2014, and that broke the trend. And here we are now 2 years in a row with a chase being unsanctified basically and released standardly. So in my opinion, it's not that big of a deal, but it just kind of irks me in the wrong way when Mattel says one thing and then they turn around, albeit a decade later, and now the car is being re-released. It kind of is like a little bait and switchy, but I guess it's been a decade, man. You know, time's the biggest healer of all things. If they did this like the next 2 or 3 years after 2013, then we'd have a problem. But hey, whatever. It gives everyone another chance to get some of these chases, even though in the grand scheme of things, Rust-eze and Miles Axlerod with open hood were some of the easiest and most inexpensive chases they had ever done. Now, last year, Mattel gave us 2 Miles Axlerods, the regular version and the version with the microphone screaming there. Although they didn't tell us that we got both. They just released the same exact card, same exact name, and you had to look into the blister to see which one of them had the little tiny microphone, which I think was the most brain-dead marketing decision they had ever made in a long time. And I hope someone's watching because they really screwed that one up. And you know it, Mattel. You know it. You can't be releasing 2 different cars, quote-unquote, with the same art and the same name. You didn't even say with microphone. Now, I understand when Miles with microphone was initially released in 2016, they did not use any different art, but you at least told us he had the microphone. So, yeah, that was a blunder last year, especially because they ended up being in the same case one time. So you had them on the pegs at the same time, so everyone's flipping through the pegs thinking they're the same car, and it was a horrible decision to even release both at the same time. But here we are, 2023. Case M gave us 2 Miles Axlerod with open hood, so it has been one of the easier cars to find lately, especially for me. There was a time I found 5 of them in a store at the same time, which means that store had gotten 3 Case M's in at least. So good stuff. Now it's time to review it. I do love the artwork that they gave them. Of course, this is the same as 2013. It's weird, honestly, seeing that art without the chase symbol next to it. But yeah, Miles Axlerod with open hood. Very excited to take a look at them and see the differences because, of course, the two previous Miles Axlerod Thailand variants were pretty different from their Chinese counterparts. On the back, you could see a bunch of other Cars 2 releases from this year. Miles himself, Francesco Bernoulli, Mark Wilson, who was also introduced in this case and appears right next to Miles in the movie, Raul Suzuki, and Jeff Gorvette. And I will be right back with this beauty all opened up. Now, the reason I brought up the thing about everyone clamoring for the bad guys to be released again and new ones is because Mattel still hasn't fully answered our hopes and prayers in that department. Let's be real. Miles Axlerod's not really what we meant when we said we want the lemons. I mean, he's not even technically a lemon. He is the head of the Lemons organization, sure, but he's not a Gremlin, Pacer, Trunkov, or Hugo. That's what we really want. Gremlin, Acer, Professor Z, their other friends and foes, the minions, all of them, have not been released in years. We did get a Professor Z mini racer, so maybe that's a step in the right direction. Really don't know why they've just doghoused all of those characters for the time being. But anyways, there is Miles in the movie. Of course, he gets caught, and wow, there we go. I was like, no way it only opens that far. Doesn't seem like, oh, there we go. It stays open. So yeah, he gets caught, of course. Mark Wilson pulls up, gets him arrested. So good scene, ending scene. Last time we see Miles Axlerod ever. And before we get into him, it's rare that you get a car, especially in the main line, with an opening hood or really any feature like this at all. Of course, the Precision Series cars had opening features, but they were the Precision Series and cost a lot more. Another example is the sepia tone Lightning McQueen from Time Travel Mater, the Disneyland set. It also had an opening hood because that's how he appeared in the short. So really cool for doing that. This is one of the best releases and very forlorn, but still not a mainline release. This was a much more expensive release and a multi-pack. So I can't really think of another time they have done a car in the mainline with a feature this cool or like an opening hood really at all. I'm sure there's got to be one, but man, I just can't think of it at all right now. And maybe there's not. So let's get right into it. We're going to do a side-by-side comparison with the original Chinese version. You can see right off the bat the expressions are different. The eyes are a little bit bigger, higher. Yeah, I like them actually. I feel like these are too sunken in. Yeah, he definitely is a little more sunken in than they are here. He actually looks thinner, but maybe that's the color that's messing with my mind because the color is definitely different. It's more of a vibrant green. This is more washed out. The shape of the mouth is slightly different, but he's still got that kind of frowny, like, face going. The grill is super different. You have kind of the yellow, not yellow, but the white pillars, slats, whatever, in the center there. Here, everything was just black, even though it is textured to have the slats. The Axlerod text on the logo is still there, and it looks really good, actually. It has a nice little shine to it, and I think it looks better. It's a little bit more readable on the new Thailand version. Headlights are also very different. Not really sure how I feel about those. They look kind of grainy, especially compared to the Chinese version, but they're just super different takes on it. Now let's open the hood. So that's as far as you can open the hood on the Chinese version, and it does stay up pretty well, which is a good thing. Here, I'm pressing pretty hard, and it's not going open, so mine's a little messed up, because I know it's, yeah, look at that. I am putting a lot of pressure on the hood right now, and it is not budging at all. This is weird, guys. What's going on with my hood? There we go. Maybe it's just a little stiff. But either way, the hood goes up way more. Now, in doing so, it reveals that nasty code that they have under the hood or on the flip side of it. Don't love that, but I guess it's necessary. I just hate that it's so visible when you have the hood fully open. But yeah, you could see a lot more details inside. Couple painted parts, which is always cool. White, couple blue parts there. The fan belt, I would assume that is there. Although, I guess, no, this is all electric. Oh, wait, no, he's not. He's not. Oh, my God. He almost fooled me again. 2011, almost 13 years later, Miles Axlerod's still fooling me for being an electric car. No, that is definitely the fan belt. And, yeah, you can't really see any of that in... Oh, man, you can kind of squeeze the one on the Chinese version open a little bit more, but I guess there's some good painted parts in there that you can get a visual on. The engine seems to be a little bit, or the engine part seems to be a little more expansive. It goes all the way up to the edge of the body there, whereas here there's some gaps in between. It looks a little smaller, like the plastic piece in there overall just looks smaller. So that's interesting. Moving right along here, zooming back out, you still have like the plastic runner board in gray here. That's a separate piece from the main metal body. And before, I think that was actually part of the main metal body. It's feeling like here. It's a matte finish, but I think that's a part of the main body. So they changed that up. They also changed up the wheels. The orange batteries or whatever in there look way less visible, and it's a much grayer tone than the kind of silvery chrome. So I'd say that's kind of a downgrade. I'm not a big fan of that. What I do like though is that instead of just making the little plug here all gray, they actually painted it in the center black. And I believe that's accurate to the film, so it just makes it look way better. You got the solar panels on the inside there and on the roof, which look pretty much the same, but slightly different colors. As you can see, a lot clearer here on the back. ALT, NRG, alternate energy for the license plate, which honestly looks better on the Thailand version. It looks way bolder than on the Chinese version. Now the hitch here is a part of the main metal body, whereas before this was a plastic insert actually. That's kind of interesting. I would say that the plastic version actually looks better over here. It just looks like it pops out a little bit more. Here everything's just so ingrained into the metal body. It kind of like melts into it, if you know what I'm saying. Still looks good though. I do like the darker blue on the solar panels. I think that makes it look a little bit less gimmicky. That's a nice contrast between the brighter green as well. Zoom out here again. That is a plastic roof, but both of them are textured really nicely on the side, like a very kind of like rough finish. I like it. Take a look at the base here. Let me guess, actually. It's going to have to be sometime in probably early 2013, I would assume. Maybe. No, this was one of the first releases. This was in like case D, I think, of 2013. I could be wrong on that, man. The white balance is way off. There we go. I think it was released earlier, so I'm going to say at the end of 2012. Let's go. 363 of 12. Oh, I was way off. I was off by like 89 days or whatever. So the 87th day of 2013, yeah, I was actually pretty off. That's upsetting. But yeah, made in China. And then this one's going to be probably sometime in like June. S28A, 28 divided by 4, that's 7. So that was more like July. Close enough though, made in Thailand. Look at all that information that they have on the base that they didn't necessarily need. I guess there was a lot here in the past, but you go back a few more years before 2013 and the bases were bare. They didn't really put anything on there. I do want to point out the side view mirrors are still separate plastic pieces like they were before. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comments below, which version do you prefer, Thailand or China? I'm going to roll with the Thailand version. I think the expression's better and the overall color just pops more. And I think from a just visual aesthetic perspective, that's really important. You can get into some of the nitty gritty with the headlights, the hitch in the back, but the overall aesthetic looks better, and that's why I'm going to roll with it. Yeah, again, I don't love the tires or the wheels, so maybe you could do a little switcheroo. And funny enough, though, and this isn't great, the new color, well, the color on this open hood version doesn't really match the color on the Thailand version of Miles we got last year, especially this one here with the screaming from the open mic, or the open mic, that's actually a thing, but with the microphone version here, he's a lot more matching of the original Chinese Miles Axlerod with open hood. Yeah, this is way more vibrant than either of them, and honestly, this is like an in-between of these two. So it's not ideal. You'd like them all to match, but it is what it is. I do like it though still. I mean, even the solar panels are much darker, I'd say, on the 2023 version here. But good stuff. That's a lot of variants of Miles Axlerod, though, within a 2-year time frame. Now, I did want to show you guys a cool prototype of Miles Axlerod with open hood that I recently acquired. Nothing too crazy, but it is one of the first engineering prototypes that we are aware of. They probably did versions or engineering prototypes before 2013, but as far as I know, I have never seen one of a car before 2013. I've seen it and have a Takashi. I have this, and I've also seen a Holiday Sheriff, whatever they called that. I forget the exact name for Sheriff, but either way, I've seen like the black Holiday Sheriff with a coat on him, but that could have been, I know it could have been from 2012, but I think it was one of his more recent releases. And yeah, he does have a date stamp surprisingly still, and this one is actually way more in line with my original guess. So I guess my miles that I got was super late, because as you can see, my guess was 363. This is 352. So I was only off on this one if I, applied my guess to this one by 11 days. And then this one here is, over 3 months later than this prototype. But because it is a prototype, that does make a lot of sense. I don't think they really changed anything else in between the official release and this prototype, but might as well take a quick gander while we got them both here. My only Miles Axlerod prototype. Oh my God, the snow, dude. You gotta stop kicking up my snow. Please stop. So what are they going to do? Are they going to do Wild Miles Axlerod next from Thailand, which would be super cool. I think a lot of people would love that. And honestly, I think they could pull it off as a single, even though he was originally released in 2014 as a deluxe. I definitely think they could pull this one off as a single. I mean, he really does not have much more girth to him than Doug Crankle. I mean, Doug Crankle is a big man, a big boy, especially in terms of the blister. Like, trying to store those is a pain because the blisters are so chunky, and I feel like the blister for this one would not be any more chunky than that. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section below, what's your favorite version of Miles Axlerod? Maybe it's the Lights and Sounds version with a cool expression. Maybe it's this new version because the hood opens so high, even though mine is really fighting. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. Well, there you guys go. You know what? I am changing my favorite to the Chinese version because that really ticks me off. Like, what the hell, Mattel, dude? Like, you're making it so hard to open that I just tore it off. I bet I could probably figure out a way to get this back on, but that is annoying, guys. That is super duper frustrating. Give me a second here. Let's see if I can get this back on. Let's just keep rolling for the 12 days of Christmas. This is an all-inclusive episode here, guys. Like, it looks like I could get it back, but there's also probably a good chance I can't. This is a nice metal piece, though. I will give them that. Guys, that is so frustrating. I might, like, clip this out, tweet it at Mattel all Karen-like, because you guys saw how much pressure I was putting on there to open, and I was trying multiple angles, so I wasn't like pulling up. I was kind of pushing in, pulling up, you know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this back on there. Maybe you guys can give me some tips on it, but it does not look like it really wants to go back. But at least I can kind of put it like that. Maybe that looks not half bad. Wow, look at that, guys. I had a kind of feeling that would happen because I was putting some pressure on it, but I had to in order to get that thing open. Well, there you guys go. Look at that. This might be one of the most exciting episodes of the 12 Days of Christmas ever. But we're going to stay jolly. Smile, smile, smile. Even though that does kind of stink. Oh, well. All good. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Hope you enjoyed the review. Definitely a little more action-packed than usual. I'll see you tomorrow for day 9 of the 12 Days of Christmas. Let's go. Bye now.